Hey everyone, it's CurlyHairedHero, and today we've got a little something different today. Today we're going to be playing TEPPEN. So TEPPEN is a new mobile card balloting game released by Capcom just, I think, this weekend at, this past weekend at Anime Expo. I think they just released it. I haven't heard a damn thing about this. I literally just went on Twitch and then saw this new thing and then saw these Capcom characters, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? But it's a new card battling mobile game, which has a whole bunch of different Capcom characters, both as heroes and playable cards that you can use in the card game. It's pretty similar to, I would say, Hearthstone, but let's go ahead and hop into the game. So at launch, there are 8 different heroes. Each of them have their own, I guess, sort of class, as you can see by the symbols here. They each sort of dictate the kind of playstyle that these heroes play by, basically. When you load up the game, you're kind of forced to go through the tutorial as Ryu, which is why it's already completed here. There is some sort of small single-player aspect to this. At launch, at the very least, you have all these 8 heroes, and each of them have their own little story mode, which I wouldn't really call the story mode, but it's how you unlock them in-game. So let's go ahead and do Rathalos here. Let's go ahead and start Chapter 1. The reason why I don't say that there's not really much of a story, because it's just, aside from the fact that it's just this, you know, just an image, it's just a couple of images of the characters, and, you know, just them going about doing things, and then they encounter one of the other 7 heroes, and then they do a battle. I don't know what it's called. I want to say a duel, but I don't know what they call it in this game. Nor do I understand too well the lore of this game. Like, is it that, you know, this giant dragon is gonna meet up against Ryu and then they're actually fighting? Or is it that, you know, he meets up with Ryu and then they sit around at a table and they throw down card? I don't understand. But anyways, the huge volcano dominated the skyline, an apt home for one as noble and mighty as Rathalos. Only the strong survive, but the King of the Skies did not, or rather, the King of the Skies did much more than that. He reigned supreme. Yet, change was the shadow of an elder dragon creeping up from behind. The clash was brief, violent, and the heavens shook at the challenger's triumphant roar. The elder dragon rose, spikes gleaming like a wrathful fallen angel. So yeah, it's just like, that's usually how it is. It's just like, oh, this character, you've encountered someone, fuck this guy, let's fight. The deposed lay dying, broken and defeated, as Rathalos' heart began to slow. A voice spoke, not yet. Rathalos felt a dagger pierce his back and erupt into flames. Its heat invigorated and his strength returned. Rathalos awoke. He spread his wings wide and tested the air, then eyed the one who stood before him. Was this the one who had spoken? The fire burned hot as it left his mouth, and Rathalos lunged to attack. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he just sees Ryu and he's like, oh, Ryu? Fuck that guy. Let's do a card battle. I guess it's okay. Maybe I'm thinking about it a little bit too much. Never stop. Whatever. But in any case, we got here. So it's very similar to Hearthstone. You got your 2 heroes, and they have their own health. In order to win, you gotta, you know, take down the other opposing hero's health. The only main difference between that between this and Hearthstone is that it's not turn-based. As you can see here, that little blue arrow and red arrow. The attacks, they kind of go on their own. So there's no sort of sense of like taking turns in this game. What happens is just that the characters will just attack on their own basically over time. So it's less about, you know, you taking turns and playing cards, but more of, you know, you figuring out the right timing of playing cards. But yeah, other than that, it's a pretty simple game. I haven't really had too many issues with it. I've only really played the story mode. I don't know how wild it'll be in like competitive play or anything like that. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see How that is, not that it hasn't been released or anything. I can go into competitive right now. I just haven't actually played it myself yet. But yeah, that's basically what it is. You have a field here of three monster zones, similar to like Duel Links. You can summon 3 monster zones, and then you just basically want to summon as many monsters and attack your opponent directly, basically, if I had to put it into other terms. And once your opponent's health goes down to 0, you win. So it's pretty simple. There are a couple of other little things. For example, there are the, I guess, spell cards or action cards, or I forgot what they call them in Hearthstone. But there are some cards that you can play that have certain effects. But flames flowed from the dagger in his back, filling him with power. His breath fire churned as it grew in intensity, turning even the largest trees to ash. Rathalos' opponent was lost among the inferno. The wyvern took flight, leaving fire and foe behind. Enemy spotted. Will eliminate. A stinging pulse of energy punctured the spoken words. Rathalos spotted the blue challenger below and changed trajectory to meet it. All foes shall feel the full force of Flame and Fang. So, yeah, the fucking X just comes out of nowhere and he's just like, hey, fuck you. And Rathalos is like, fuck you more. And then they just throw down. Anyways. So yeah, we have these like action cards that you can use, like this one here.
Critical damage sustained.
And every hero has, I guess, I think it's similar to Hearthstone, where every hero has their own different pool of action cards. So for example, I guess Rathalos and Rio, whatever class they are, the red mark, those typically increase your unit's attack, where I know I've done X's story, his focus is on healing himself and healing his units, which I'm assuming Chun-Li does the same thing. She's also got the green symbol for her hero type. But yeah, there's different cards here, and then the main sort of, I guess, gimmick for this is once you throw it down the middle of the field, what happens is, since there's no taking turns, when you play it, your opponent has a chance to play a card on top of it. So it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you can chain cards. So if I play this card, X, if he had a card that, for example, destroys monsters, he can chain that to it, and then instead of my effect, or rather, his effect will go on top, because it'll resolve the chain from whatever the most recent effect that was activated is. So it's similar to Yu-Gi-Oh! Where the chain comes out. So if he destroys my monster, my effect doesn't go off because there's no monster to use. It's very similar to Yu-Gi-Oh! In that aspect. It's a little bit, like I said, it's a little bit like Hearthstone and Yu-Gi-Oh! Put together with little bits and pieces from them, but I would have to say it's mainly like Hearthstone. And you know, I don't want to compare it directly to Hearthstone, just saying like, oh, this is Hearthstone. It's just easier for me to draw the comparison to it. I don't think there is like any sort of mana system, because you can kind of play cards whenever you want. At any point, like I can have a card that has like a 7 on it, and you know I can play it at any point. But each card has their own sort of, I think each card has their own set cooldown. Yeah, each card has their own set cooldown of when you can play it, or when you can play the next card after you've already played a card. I'm not entirely sure how that works. So if I play like a really high level card or a really strong card, if that makes the cooldown for the other cards take longer, or if it's just the nature of those cards that dictates how long their cooldown is. I haven't really learned too much about that, and the game doesn't really tell me about that as much. It might tell you in like the quick loading screen in between, where they give you those like 5 millisecond tips. But anyways, as the Wyvern prepared to unleash his fiery breath, he sensed something else coming from afar. A memory returned, ripped wings, crushed talons, shame. Consumed by hatred, Rathalos realized his true enemy was not this blue entity. For those who live by the Fang, fear leads only to death. Rathalos found no fear, only a burning hatred fueled by a fiery blade, his nemesis in sight. He tucked in his wings and let gravity do the rest. Yeah, so I did tell you those really quick tips. I've never gotten a chance to really read one fully. Hopefully there's like some section in the settings where you can actually look at these tips. One of the other aspects of this game, so we've gone over the monsters and the action cards. There's also, each hero has their own sort of like skill that they can use, and whenever I play a card, it adds up AP in the corner here. I don't know really what that does, but you can see here we have 2 seconds to decide whether I want to play a card. I'll just play it just so you, oh, okay, maybe not. I was gonna play it just so you guys can see it, but I didn't get to activate it in time. But yeah, my opponent activated an action card in that sense, and I was able to react if I wanted to with my own action card, but I didn't because I messed up. But anyways, whenever I play cards, it adds up to my AP. So I guess the mana system sort of is in reverse for the skills. So as you play cards, I think it builds up the meter, the AP there, and then that is what lets you use your hero's skill once they get it. So let's do this time. So this time, sacrificing 2 life destroys an enemy that costs 3 MP or less. So we're gonna drop one. We're gonna drop. Okay, I gotta select the monster. That's why I didn't. I'm gonna drop this, which is gonna power up this, and she didn't even want to do it on her. She's about to die, but all right, whatever. And then now this guy's gonna use his skill, which I think just destroys a monster. But he leaves this field wide open for an attack. Let's go ahead and didn't make any time. He's gonna boost up. Who the hell this is? Lucia. So when she goes in for the direct attack, it would have been a little more damage, but never mind. Storm Tornado. Interesting. What does that do? Deal 6 pierce damage to an enemy unit. I have no idea what pierce damage is. That's interesting. Let's go ahead and play this guy here, just cause. And then monsters also. Some monsters have their own skills. Some activate after some of them. Some activate, for example, when you activate action skills. So monsters do have like different effects as well. But yep, pretty simple. The shock from the impact was so strong. The black, igneous earth shifted and roiled. Geysers of blistering magma burst through the cracks separating the 2 kings. The fight would have to wait. Rathalos perched on a cliff. He saw not his lost territory, but the promise of a new world, a region wretched in flame. One more of the dagger's gifts. Rathalos launched himself into the sky and made for the land of illusion. And there we go, we've unlocked the Rathalos. That's basically the gist of it. Cool. And then there are like little achievements in this game. So yeah, soul, I don't know what soul is. But yeah, so every character has their own little tiny quote-unquote story, which is just 3 battles that you go through and then you unlock them. Like I said, Ryu, you forced to do it from the start. Rathalos I just did, and then X I just did, and then I did Near Gigant today because I had a daily for it. So we did that. But yeah, check out TEPPEN if you like what you saw. I think it's okay. I do have my issues with it so far, but it's only been out for like a day. I've only played it a little bit. I'll go into my issues more in the next video. I'm going to do a couple of videos on this just to talk about it a little bit. But if you get it today, it's free. You know, it's free to play. And if you get it now, you get like 30 free cards, which is pretty cool. I haven't actually like gone to the deck building or anything like that. I've only used the like pre-made decks so far. So like I said, I haven't really explored a lot about the game so far. I'll tell you that much. But given that, I do have a lot of things that I like and a lot of things that I don't like. So that somewhat says a lot. Anyways, stay fresh.